This is Chris, and I want to talk about one of my favorite pet peeves. Things I can't stand that are completely misrepresented by rock yards and idiot landscapers. And landscapers with good intentions, I suppose, because there's a lot of landscapers who use weed fabrics who really are good landscapers. They just are in the groove. I mean, they just go with the flow. So weed fabrics don't prevent weeds. If anything, in certain situations, they make weed problems substantially worse, because it's very hard to get a pre-emergent layer in when a weed fabric is sitting near the surface, but it is very easy for the weed seeds to blow in and get embedded in the little bit of half-inch material, or moisture is right, and immediately begin growing. There's a weed for almost every time of the year in temperate climates, and you can see what happens over the course of time. The weed fabric starts sticking up out of the ground like a little ugly eyesore that it is. It starts showing, and the weeds keep growing through it. And the irony is, when you go to pull the weed, its root's going to have grown through the weed fabric, because the top of weed fabric is made for materials like water to move through. So it has a natural opening for the roots of the weeds to go through. You pull that out, you've put a big hole in the weed fabric. You go to start hoeing the weeds out of the ground where the weed fabric is, inevitably you're going to wind up cutting it open. Do not use weed fabrics. If you're putting down a decomposed granite driveway and you're going to buy an industrial strength geotextile, yeah, okay, it'll help, but it's not going to do anything for the weeds on the top. Certainly help with warm season grasses, which is the only time that weed fabric may help, and even then you need to use like 3 alternating rows of the material. But there's weed fabric throughout this bocce ball court that was put in or started and hasn't been finished. We're going to work on finishing it over the next couple weeks, waiting for some materials to come, because we're in a logistically impaired area where the local vendors in Fresno are completely incompetent in delivering the materials. So we'll just bring it from our own yard. But again, weed fabrics don't prevent weed growth, and if anything, make weed development much worse.